a pinhead. He's not a Kool-Aid drinking off the chain liberal. He's a but we like him anyway. He's a rational, normal, sane person who will do his best when he gets up there. He'll actually make friends with these people up there and not run his mouth and make everybody mad saying stupid stuff.
And embarrassed.
Embarrassed. Somebody you can be proud to have as your congressman. And he's a friend of mine, and y'all need to vote for him and listen to what this gentleman has to say.
Okay.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you, Doug. I'd like to thank Doug and his wife for inviting me in this lovely home. That's what I promised my wife. I was going to go to a new house. Instead, I have opted to run for Congress. So I got to win and not get a divorce after 31 years of marriage. So basically, I think everybody may know who I am, but let me just tell you who I am. I'm Ken Dious, born and raised in Athens. I went to the University of Georgia back in the day, and I have an undergrad degree in finance. Then I came back to the University of Georgia and got a law degree from the University of Georgia. This is my classmate, Professor Sarah Jane Love. We spent a lot of time together in the library, and Sarah Jane eventually ended up teaching my son in law school. She taught my son. She didn't give him an A, but she did. I remember the grade she did give him a B, and I remember the issue he missed on the test, so she gave him a fair grade. But let me tell you why I'm running for Congress. I think the country has really gotten out of hand. I saw a critical need in the 10th district. Basically, all I am is this, in this manner. I am just a strict type conservative business person. That's what I am. When business in the country is going good, if business is going good, everybody is doing well, and that helps everybody in the country. But what has happened in this country is that we have gotten to the point that we're in Washington bickering and fighting so that we have just lost our way. Either got to be a Democrat idea, or it got to either be a Republican idea. If it's an idea, is an idea. It does not matter who brings it forward. Whatever proposal that will work and help the country go forward, that is what I will vote for. Even if it means that I will cross party lines. I will be true to my vote. So I'm not rich by any means of imagination, not even close. But I was on my way sort of out the door to retire. If it means that I got to take a vote that I think is not going to satisfy all the Democrats, it's not going to satisfy all the Republicans, I think it's a good idea. I will cross party lines, I will vote for it. And it means that I have to come home because somebody get all upset about it, then I will just come home. And I will put up my little retirement shingle somewhere and I'll just go about my business. But what has happened in this country is that we're fighting like kids in D.C., and it's really hurting, and I don't think at the same time we'll realize that things have changed. Here is what, in my opinion, has changed. After the recession, this country economically has changed. Whether we like it or not, it has changed. You know, the idea about you should go down to the plant and work 30 years, they give you a retirement thing, and you go home and retire, that is gone by the wayside. So we're going to have to develop new ideas and new businesses as we'll go along, particularly small businesses. Basically, that's what I am. I'm a small business person. I have owned a franchise. I do own real estate. I practiced law for 41 years. I understand the tax code. I understand some of the argument that the business people make. When you have employees and you have to write that check out to Uncle Sam for withholding taxes and 940 and 941 taxes, and you got to cover employees for insurance and health insurance and life insurance, I understand that hurts, and everybody like to lower their costs in order that you can run a business. But our problem is that we're getting to have an educational problem that we cannot keep up with what the new change is going to be. Let's face it, the robots are coming. I tell everybody all the time, I'd rather drive an automobile that is made by a robot than a human person, because the robot going to make the same every time. But we got to start educating people, so somebody got to run and build the robots. And we are now fighting about some philosophical, whatever my opponent is talking about, constitutional, what do you say, he's a strict constitutional, and not dealing with the jobs, the change is coming in the jobs. Yes, some of the jobs that's in China will come back, but they will not come back in the form that they left. Transportation costs and all that is going to drive some of those jobs back to America because it's going to be cheaper to make it here. But they're not going to come back the way you think they're going to come back. They're going to come back in the form of the robot. And unless we bring our school system up to par in order to do that and make it fair. Now, about fairness for everyone. What I mean about that is this. In education, some of the best high schools in the world is in North Carolina. If you don't believe it, just watch IQ, what is it, CQ, or what it is on Sunday morning. Don't tell my pastor because I'm supposed to be in church. And watch some of those kids perform. But if you go down to the bottom part of this district and watch what is happening in America in some of the poor counties, they can't hardly keep their schools open because they don't have a tax base. And we're going to have to start thinking differently about education. As the lady told me in France, she was in Paris, she said, well, we're thinking about moving down the French Riviera. And the lady said, well, did you give any consideration about the school system? And the lady in France says, all the schools in France are the same. And the only thing that's been saving us, really, in some of the counties in the 10th district, is that we had great teachers that have gotten the top students that can compete, but we're running out of great teachers. We are wearing great teachers out. We're just wearing them out. They need some assets in order to bring every education system up to the same par as they are in North Carolina. And we're going to have to change our thinking about the way we're doing things and quit bickering about whatever my opponent is bickering about and move on and start changing things. We need to change our energy policy. We need to think about if we can come independent, energy independent. If we become independent, we could not fill the jobs that it would create. If we can do some green space stuff down in this district and help and bring jobs in those districts, we can fill the job. We can't fill the job because we don't have an education system to do it. But these are the things that are on my mind. I don't care if it's Republican, Democrat, or whatever. This is what needs to be done in America. America needs a new direction, and we need to create, that will create more small businesses and so forth as we go forward. And we can do that. We can maintain a national health care system. I'm not saying that the Affordable Health Care Act is the best. It may be like Medicaid, Medicare. As we go along, we're probably going to have to change it. We're probably going to have to amend it. If it gets too burdensome on business, we may have to get rid of it. But what people forget is this, is that 80% of the people in the country is already covered by health insurance. 80% of the people in this country already make more than minimum wage. The Republican idea that you bring in minimum wage, raise minimum wage or whatever, is just going to destroy the country. That's not going to happen. I owned a franchise when they raised the minimum wage, and I said, what am I going to do? I got 14 people here, I got payroll to make, and boom, minimum wage just got raised. I got to raise my employee's salary. And I thought about it, and I told them, I looked at it I was in the fast food business, and I told them, I said, look at what we do. Let's just work harder. Let's just work harder. We can't raise the price of the product. You got to compete. Let's just work harder and see what we can do. And that's what we did, and we were successful at that. And American people can, they're willing to work. They'll work hard. So those are the things that we need to do. I don't understand why we can't be like other countries and say, oh, I just cut my finger. Let me go to the doctor, and my bill is this. Just had a lady stay, 8 days in the hospital, bill $35,000. We haven't gotten, I mean, that's just the hospital bill. We haven't gotten the doctor bill for the surgery and this and that. So it's expensive. I have clients that come in that are in accidents and so forth, and they're not insured, and I cannot get them before a doctor because the doctor will not touch them because they are not insured. And we just have problems with handling our cases because they're not insured. So we need to clear that up. This country is big enough, strong enough, but we're over here fighting. While we're over here fighting, what happened yesterday? China just took one of their big F-14, whatever they, in their defense system, and just rolled right around an American aircraft carrier. And I said, what you gonna do about it in the United States? They're fighting. You know, you can't do anything about it at all. Putin in Russia says, let me just put the tax rate over here. You can't do anything about it because you're over there fighting. You can't even pass a bill. And that's what we need to do. In regard to taxes and balanced budget and deficit, let me speak on deficit about that. I got a wife, I fight about deficit all the time. She loves shoes. But we need, what other countries need to do, we need a 10 to 15 year plan as to how we're going to handle the deficit. We cannot let every president that comes to office say, I know you just got elected, you're popular, we're just going to put in a new program for the sake of you putting in a program for your legacy and run the deficit up. It's going to take time to get the deficit down. Balanced budget. I have no problem with what the tax code says, and also we need to try to come close to balancing the budget. But I do not want to get stuck with a fixed, flat tax or something that if you need to raise taxes or if you need to lower taxes, you got to the point that's inflexible. Let's face it. What they tried to do, you cannot fight a war. You're going to do one of two things. You're going to borrow the money to fight the war, or you're going to raise taxes. That's just practical. If you have a big hurricane like we had down in New Orleans, and you can put all that money up there, either you're going to borrow the money from China, or either you're going to raise taxes. You raise taxes, you pay for it, and it gets better. You can lower taxes if you borrow the money. If you borrow the money, the debt is going to grow. It's just that simple. So I don't want to just get into a plan that is not flexible. That is not flexible at all. I want to have a plan. I want an equitable tax. You cannot tax people and take away their incentive. You cannot tax them to that point. I have a son. I was telling him about he just went out and he worked hard all his life, went to right schools and everything, and he's out there with one of those .coms. And a couple of years, if he's lucky, he can take care of that. But when it comes for him, it would be unfair to take all his money in taxes. That would be fair. I mean, that's unfair. And if you start doing that, people, it's not going to be, the incentives are going to work because you done if I do, done if I don't. So, but we need to have a equitable tax plan that is fair and flexible. That's what I believe in. I would hope that we get to a point that we can create a surplus in this country. So even if we had to go to war, or we had a major storm or whatever, we would have a surplus that we could pull down and we would have to do anything. That's the way I run my household. Sometimes I like to believe that's the way I run my household. I try to keep a little surplus on the side because I know emergency is going to come. And a country can do the same thing. And we can't, there are some plans in America. There are going to have to be some cuts. There are some plans in America, some programs, let's face it, that just do not work. The government have tried it. We tried it with the Great Society. We tried it with the